Luo God Palace, back mountain. Boom, boom. Thunderous, violent sounds echoed through the back mountain, the air thick with smoke and dust. The earth trembled as two figures flashed through the air like lightning, their every collision resembling the impact of falling meteors, sending waves of destruction through the land. In their battle, the surrounding mountain range had been reduced to chaos by the lingering shockwaves. Bang! Another fierce clash sent the two figures flying backward, their feet crashing into the ground. The once solid mountain rocks shattered instantly into dust. Haha, that felt good, Chen said, standing firm. He rubbed his slightly reddened fist, a smile of satisfaction spreading across his handsome face. The previous confrontation had been quite exhilarating. The figure opposite Chen, Long Xiang, emerged with a different expression, his eyes filled with awe and shock. Over the past few days, due to his semi-perfect Earth Supreme strength, Long Xiang had become Chen's sparring partner. Chen, having just stepped into the upper Earth Supreme realm, needed a strong opponent to adapt to his rapidly growing power, and it was clear that Long Xiang was the best choice. Long Xiang didn't hesitate to accept this role. After all, he was curious to test just how powerful Chen's battle strength truly was. As they continued sparring, Long Xiang's astonishment grew. At first, he had noticed that Chen's power seemed a bit sluggish, likely due to his lack of complete mastery over the immense spiritual energy of the upper Earth Supreme. In those early days, Long Xiang still had the upper hand in a contest of pure strength. But as time passed, it was clear that Chen was adapting rapidly to the upper Earth Supreme level. His combat prowess began to rise at a terrifying rate. Within just a few days, Long Xiang realized that in pure strength clashes, he could no longer gain even the slightest advantage over Chen. This left him stunned. After all, Long Xiang was a semi-perfect Earth Supreme, and his cultivation focused on physical power. Even among other super-strong beings of the same rank, he was far from weak. Yet here he was, unable to match Chen, who had just reached upper Earth Supreme. How could this not shock him? More importantly, Chen had never even used any other techniques in their sparring. Long Xiang had a strong premonition that if he and Chen were to truly fight to the death, once Chen unleashed all his abilities, he would undoubtedly be the one to lose. Young master is truly unfathomable. I am in awe, Long Xiang sighed. To reach this level with the power of an upper Earth Supreme was impressive, even for him. Looking at Chen's youthful and handsome face, Long Xiang felt a surge of confidence rise within him. Perhaps, with Chen's abilities, he really could rescue Lingxi from Emerald Spirit Island. Chen merely smiled at Long Xiang's praise. The reason he was able to match Long Xiang in terms of physical strength wasn't just because of his own powerful body. More importantly, he possessed the spirit of the true dragon and phoenix, and the combined power of these two forces had effects that went far beyond mere addition. From his estimation, even without using his spiritual energy, he could dominate other upper Earth Supremes purely through his physical strength. He could even match a semi-perfect Earth Supreme like Long Xiang in a contest of strength. Of course, if he wanted to defeat a semi-perfect Earth Supreme, these abilities alone wouldn't be enough. As these thoughts circled in his mind, Chen suddenly looked up. On a nearby hill stood a stunning figure, her graceful form radiating elegance, her eyes shimmering like waves of water. Young master, I will take my leave now, Long Xiang said, seeing Luoli arrive, and smiled. Chen nodded. We leave in 3 days, heading for Emerald Spirit Island. Yes. Long Xiang respectfully replied before turning to leave. Chen watched him go, and then moved swiftly, appearing in front of Luoli. Luoli seemed to have just participated in a meeting of the Luo God clan. She was still dressed in a magnificent purple gown, exuding nobility and grace. Her figure was slender with a soft waist, and beneath her form-fitting gown, she had a full, alluring silhouette. Her delicate features were captivating, and as the breeze blew, her long, silken hair fluttered like a river of stars. In that moment, she embodied a breathtaking beauty. Chen gazed at the girl before him, a rare, soft smile spreading across his face. Even his tense body relaxed involuntarily. In her presence, he could always lay down his burdens and feel a rare tranquility. However, as he looked at Luoli, his gaze grew increasingly intense. Sensing his burning stare, Luoli's delicate face flushed slightly. She shot him a playful glare, about to speak, but then she saw Chen take a step forward. His breath was upon her, causing Luoli to instinctively take a step back. But she stopped herself, and before she knew it, a strong arm was wrapped around her slender waist, pulling her into his embrace. Feeling the warmth of his embrace and seeing the flush on Luoli's cheeks, Along with the faint shyness appearing in her usually calm eyes, Mu Chen could no longer hold back his feelings. He lowered his head and kissed her soft, rosy lips. Luo Li's body stiffened for a moment, but soon, this stiffness melted into a passionate response. Her long, graceful arms wrapped around Mu Chen's neck, her beautiful eyes half closed, her expression seductive in a way that was both surprising and charming. On the hilltop, a light breeze blew, and the couple embraced tightly, as if releasing the fiery emotions they had long suppressed. Their entanglement lasted for an unknown amount of time, until finally, Luo Li's cheeks blushed deeply, and she shyly hid her face in Mu Chen's chest. The dignified and graceful demeanor of the Luo God clan's queen was nowhere to be seen. Mu Chen's eyes seemed to burn with flames, his breath growing heavier. He leaned forward and pinned the girl down onto the grass. However, just as he was about to make an even bolder move, a pair of delicate hands, smooth as jade, blocked his chest. He looked down and saw her bright, bashful eyes. "Don't," Luo Li said softly, biting her red lips. Mu Chen, momentarily taken aback by her resistance, snapped back to reality. The heat in his eyes faded, and he awkwardly chuckled. He knew that the emotions he had been holding back for so long were suddenly too overwhelming to control. This was the back mountain of the Luo God Palace, and from time to time, patrols passed by. If they saw the queen of the Luo God clan being taken advantage of by Mu Chen, they might disregard all differences and launch an attack on the two of them. Luo Li noticed Mu Chen stop, and the hand that had been blocking his chest relaxed. Her face remained flushed as she realized that she had been startled by the sudden outburst of his emotions. She instinctively resisted, but if they were in another place, she thought, she probably wouldn't even have the courage to stop him. Thinking about this, her face turned even redder. Mu Chen sighed as he looked at her delicate, flushed face. The juicy prey has escaped. Luo Li, hearing his teasing, clenched her small fist and punched him lightly on the shoulder. Then, biting her red lips, she lowered her face and whispered, "Wait until you become heavenly supreme and save your mother, and then I'll agree to whatever you want." Her voice trembled toward the end, showing how shy she had become. Mu Chen's eyes widened in surprise. He hadn't expected Luo Li to tempt him with this. He immediately straightened up and said, "Would I be that kind of person?" However, his flushed skin and the heat running through his veins betrayed the lie in his words. Luo Li, ever so sharp, caught the falseness in his tone. She pouted and pushed him away with her slender hand, then curled up her long legs, gathering her hair by her cheek with a soft smile. "Then let's forget I said anything." Mu Chen stood stunned for a moment, then forced a smile and said, "You're the queen of the Luo God clan. Your words hold weight. You can't just change them like that." Before he could finish, he saw the playful smirk tugging at the corners of her lips, and immediately, he pounced on her. "You dare trick me?" Hee. On the grass, the young man and the girl laughed and playfully tangled with each other. The sound of their laughter was so pleasant, a rare moment of joy after years of tension. Their affectionate teasing continued for a while, and eventually, they stopped. Sitting on the hilltop, they gazed at the setting sun sinking below the horizon. "Are you planning to go to Emerald Spirit Island?" Luo Li asked, resting her cheek against Mu Chen's shoulder. Mu Chen nodded and said, "Lingxi is indeed there. I must go save her." Although Emerald Spirit Island was likely a dangerous place, Mu Chen had no choice but to go. After all, Lingxi had helped him a great deal in the past, and they shared a deep bond. "Aren't you going to inform Mandala?" If Mandala, the perfect Earth Supreme, came along, this trip would likely be much safer. Mu Chen shook his head and replied, "The Mu Manor is newly established. Although we've secured the northern domain, there are still many top forces eyeing us from Tianluo continent. Mandala must stay at the Mu Manor to oversee it. Otherwise, the newly established northern domain could fall apart." Luo Li gently nodded, then smiled and said, "In that case, I will accompany you this time." Mu Chen froze, staring at Luo Li in surprise. He had thought that Luo Li wouldn't be able to leave the Luo God clan for the time being, as the clan really needed her right now. Having been separated for many years, Mu Chen naturally wanted to be with Luo Li, but he knew that sometimes, in order to protect the ones he cared about in the future, he had to endure loneliness for now. Luo Li accompanying him at this moment clearly showed how much he valued him. Seeing the stunned look in Mu Chen's eyes, Luo Li mischievously smiled and said, "The important matters of the Luo God clan have been settled, and there shouldn't be any more issues. Also, I've always let you go alone before. This time, I want to share the burden with you." Mu Chen was moved at her words, but he didn't pretend that the danger would stop him from accepting her offer, as doing so wouldn't help the girl in front of him. So he extended his arm and wrapped it around her slender waist. A hearty laugh echoed through the sky. All right, then let's go and see if that dragon's den can stop us. 10,000 Islands Continent. On a massive island, in a bustling city, a giant teleportation spirit array erupted in brilliant light, sending countless flashes of light back and forth. At that moment, the figures of Chen, Luoli, and Longxi emerged from the array. Once they stepped out, Chen immediately felt the intense sea breeze hitting his face, a strong salty scent filling the air. Even the spiritual energy in the world felt damp and moist. So, this is 10,000 Islands Continent. Chen marveled as he gazed at the lively city. The level of activity was no less than that of Western Heaven Continent. It was said that most of this continent consisted of endless oceans, with islands so large they could be considered nations. This continent didn't have any superpowers, but its chaotic state was just as bad as Tianluo Continent. Many warlords gathered here, constantly fighting, so warfare was a common sight. This is Moro Island. The ruler of this island is an Upper Earth Supreme, and he's somewhat well known in 10,000 Islands Continent. Longxi spoke up, clearly well versed in the region. Chen nodded and asked, "Where is Emerald Spirit Island?" "It's still a bit far from here, about 2 days away," Longxi said, pausing for a moment before adding, "Young master, Xun'er is no pushover, so be extra careful." Chen smiled and replied, "Don't worry. As long as there is no Heavenly Supreme on Emerald Spirit Island, with his Earth Supreme perfect strength, he won't be able to stop me." Although Chen was currently an Upper Earth Supreme, if he needed to escape, even facing a powerful Earth Supreme perfect, he was confident in his ability to break free. Upon hearing this, Longxi didn't say more. He moved swiftly and shot through the sky like a streak of light, heading straight for the vast ocean. Chen and Luoli exchanged a glance and immediately followed. In 10,000 Islands Continent, the oceans were vast and full of dangerous natural disasters. Sometimes, the fusion of spiritual energy and endless cold currents formed freezing waterfalls, making it perilous even for Earth Supreme experts. Fortunately, with Longxi leading the way, they didn't encounter too many obstacles. After 2 days, they were nearing their destination. On the endless expanse of the sea, 3 figures stood on the waves. Chen gazed into the distance, his eyes flashing with spiritual light. The scene far beyond gradually became clearer. There, on the distant horizon, appeared a massive island of deep green. Above the island, an immense concentration of spiritual energy spiraled and enveloped it, clearly marking it as a rare and sacred place of cultivation. Even from such a great distance, Chen could feel the overwhelming spiritual energy emanating from the island. The density of this spiritual energy was far greater than any island he had seen across the 10,000 Islands Continent over the years. "No wonder it's the Futu ancient clan," Chen murmured. "They've claimed such a magnificent place for cultivation, yet no one dares to covet it. If it were any other top-tier faction, even with a perfect Earth Supreme overseeing it, such a place would undoubtedly attract countless disturbances and endless troubles. However, for this island, within tens of thousands of miles around it, there had been no sign of any conflict. Clearly, the entire region was under the protection of this Emerald Spirit Island, and no other factions dared to interfere. I'll go up first and try to rescue Lingxi. We can't let that Xun'er use her as leverage, Longxiang said, looking toward Chen. I'll stay hidden beneath the sea with Luoli. Be extra cautious. Chen nodded. If they could save Lingxi without a fight, that would be the best outcome. As for Longxiang, his strength, being half a step from the perfect Earth Supreme, should not be underestimated. Even if Xun'er noticed, he would likely be unable to do anything. Longxiang nodded and took a deep breath, his figure shooting like a streak of light towards the direction of Emerald Spirit Island. Chen and Luoli slowly sank into the water, concealing their presence and spiritual energy as they made their way toward the island from beneath the sea. Whoosh! Longxiang moved swiftly, soon nearing Emerald Spirit Island without encountering any resistance. His figure flickered, and he appeared before a black tower deep within the island. Under the black tower, the gray-clad elder was still seated calmly. Just like before, when Longxiang arrived, the elder opened his eyes, a smile appearing on his face as he looked at Longxiang. "Mission accomplished?" the elder asked. Longxiang replied calmly. Chen is now the son of the Western Heaven Continent. When he was a Lower Earth Supreme, he could defeat an Upper Earth Supreme. Now that he has entered the Upper Earth Supreme level, even I can't match him. If you want to capture him, I'm afraid it will require your direct intervention, Protector Gu. Hearing this, Gu Shihuang merely smiled and nodded without showing any anger. He didn't elaborate further, but instead looked with a strange glint in his eyes and said, "In that case, leave this to me. You don't need to worry about it anymore. By the way, someone else from the clan has arrived at Emerald Spirit Island. Let me introduce them to you." Upon hearing this, Long Xiang's pupils shrank slightly. Long Xiang, it's been a long time. From the right side of the bamboo forest, a figure slowly emerged. This person was dressed in a bright red robe, with hair graying. The robe had a black fish pattern, making it look quite eerie. When Long Xiang saw this person, his expression immediately changed, and he exclaimed, "Liang Evil Fish, what are you doing here?" Liang Evil Fish was also from the Futu ancient clan and a perfect Earth Supreme, his strength no less than that of Gu Shihuang. Long Xiang never imagined that Gu Shihuang would have invited him as well. Looks like you're surprised, Long Xiang." Gu Shihuang smiled, and then turned his gaze to the left side of the bamboo forest. With a flash in his eyes, he said, "I didn't say only one old friend had arrived." Long Xiang's heart trembled as he turned towards the left side of the bamboo forest. There, he saw an elderly figure in green robes, who seemed to have appeared without notice. The elder was thin, like a dried corpse, with cold eyes. His sleeves bore vivid snake patterns, and a strong wave of spiritual energy radiated from him. Clearly, this green-robed elder was another true Earth Supreme. Green Serpent Ancestor? Long Xiang took a deep breath. This old man was not from the Futu ancient clan, but he was a highly renowned figure on the 10,000 Islands continent, one of the most powerful beings in the region. He hadn't expected him to come as well. This is indeed the full perfection of 3 Earth Supreme beings. Looking at the two who had appeared, Gu Shihuang smiled and said, The older one gets, the more cautious they become. I set a trap for that Sin child. And of course, I was worried it might all go wrong, so I invited 2 friends over to keep things in check. Long Xiang, what do you think?" Gu Shihuang looked at Long Xiang. Long Xiang's heart was heavy, but his face showed no emotion as he nodded. This old man was truly crafty. To deal with Mu Chen, he was willing to invest such resources. It seemed today's events would stir up more trouble than expected. Gu Shihuang, seeing his reaction, smiled gently and said, "In that case, why not invite those 2 to meet?" Long Xiang's eyes flashed with cold light, his gaze turning to Gu Shihuang. It seemed this old man had already sensed the approach of Mu Chen and the others. Roar! Long Xiang suddenly let out a sky-shaking roar, his laughter echoing like both a dragon and an elephant, rolling through the heavens and earth. Within his roar, there was a warning, and the 3 howls carried the message that there were 3 Earth Supreme beings of full perfection present. Seeing this, the Green Serpent Ancestor frowned, and with a flick of his sleeve, a sharp snake-like cry rang out, subtly drowning out Long Xiang's roar. Gu Shihuang stood up, gazing toward the distant Emerald Spirit Island, his voice booming like a bell, reverberating through the heavens and earth. "Sin child Mu Chen, since you dare to come, why don't you show yourself? Otherwise, Long Xiang and Ling, she will be handed over to the clan for punishment." His voice thundered across the land, causing even the nearby ocean to stir in massive waves. Boom. Just as his words fell, the sea beyond Emerald Spirit Island suddenly roiled, and a massive tidal wave, tens of thousands of feet high, surged up, covered by dark clouds, crashing toward the island. The towering wave, carrying a massive shadow, appeared above Emerald Spirit Island. At this moment, the sharp gazes of the 3 Earth Supreme beings of full perfection also locked onto the tidal wave. There 2 figures stood upon the water. The young man among them had sharp eyes, emanating a sharp aura that made him resemble an extraordinary treasure sword, instilling fear in those who gazed upon him. Mu Chen stood atop the wave, looking down from above. He focused on the 3 Earth Supreme beings, his gaze eventually resting on Gu Shihuang's figure, and his calm voice slowly rang out. "I've revealed myself. What will you, old fool, do about it?" Mu Chen's calm voice echoed through the heavens and earth, swirling around above Emerald Spirit Island, lingering for a long time. Hearing Mu Chen's somewhat arrogant words, Gu Shihuang furrowed his brows. He looked up, gazing at the tall figure standing on the waves, and smiled faintly. "A mere Upper Earth Supreme dares to speak to me like this. Truly unaware of your own limits." Boom. Just as Gu Shihuang uttered the final word, the sound of his voice suddenly exploded, transforming into a terrifying visible shockwave that directly swept toward Mu Chen. The shockwave was overwhelmingly forceful. If it were any ordinary Upper Earth Supreme, they would have been torn apart by it upon contact, perhaps even seriously injured on the spot. However, Mu Chen, who had once dominated the Upper Earth Supreme battlefield on the Western Heaven continent with the strength of a Lower Earth Supreme, was clearly beyond such ordinary bounds. So, in response to Gu Shihuang's sonic assault, Mu Chen took a bold step forward, opened his mouth, and in the next instant, a roar like the cries of a dragon and phoenix erupted from his lips. Roar. The rolling sound waves, infused with the majestic aura of the true dragon and phoenix, swept out, clashing violently with Gu Shihuang's shockwave. The entire world seemed to thunder with a deafening roar. The tens of thousands of feet high tidal wave beneath Mu Chen and his companions shattered, transforming into torrential rain that poured down, creating a heavy curtain of rain that covered Emerald Spirit Island. Seeing his sound waves being easily blocked, Gu Shihuang's pupils slightly contracted. Although he had been testing, he was after all a genuine Earth Supreme of full perfection. Even a sound wave attack from him wasn't something that an Upper Earth Supreme could handle. Yet, Mu Chen, in front of him, had done just that. It seems you really do have some ability. No wonder you're so arrogant, daring to come to my Emerald Spirit Island to take someone. Gu Shihuang sneered. Even if you're capable, you're still just an Upper Earth Supreme. Liang Evil Fish grinned, his eyes dark and narrowed as he stared at Mu Chen. Heh, so this is the Sin Child? Although he has decent talent, he's still no match for the young master. Old Gu, I think you're just being overly cautious. Within the Futu ancient clan, Liang Evil Fish and Gu Shihuang were from the same faction, both supporters of the clan's rising young master. Earlier, he had received a message from Gu Shihuang, saying that this Sin Child could become a hidden threat to the young master, which was why he traveled thousands of miles to eliminate this potential danger. Gu Shihuang responded with a faint smile. No matter what, it's very likely that he's already mastered the sacred floating pagoda. Just this alone means we can't let him grow any further. Otherwise, trouble might arise in the future. While the young master was unmatched in Gu Shihuang's eyes, the cautious Gu Shihuang didn't like leaving any risks behind. So, if given the chance, it was best to eliminate them early. Liang Evil Fish curled his lip but didn't argue, as Gu Shihuang's caution did make some sense. They were fully committed to supporting the young master to become the next clan leader. If they made the wrong bet, they would likely face suppression, so they had to help the young master clear any obstacles in their way. Since that's the case, this kid can't be allowed to escape today. Liang Evil Fish paused and added, although the first elder said it's best to capture this Sin Child alive, there's no avoiding some heavy-handedness in the process, which could result in inevitable injuries. I think even the first elder would understand this, right? Gu Shihuang nodded. There were 3 Earth Supreme Perfects here, and today, even if Mu Chen had sky-high abilities, there was no way he could escape under their watch. At this moment, Long Xiang also retreated to Mu Chen and Luo Li's side, his expression somewhat grim. Be careful, old Gu has brought 2 more Earth Supreme Perfects. Now there are 3 of them. Facing 3 Earth Supreme Perfects, even Long Xiang felt a shiver run down his spine. With his strength, if he fought desperately, he could perhaps hold his own for a while against a single Earth Supreme Perfect, but victory would be extremely difficult. Moreover, now there were 3. This was far beyond his expectations. However, unlike Long Xiang's unease, Mu Chen remained calm. From the very beginning, he had expected that there would be more than 1 Earth Supreme Perfect on Emerald Spirit Island. Sin Child Mu Chen, today you have no way out. Surrender now, and I will spare the others. At the same time, Gu Shihuang spoke coldly. Oh, then come and try. Mu Chen smiled faintly, his pitch-black eyes devoid of warmth. Though he faced 3 Earth Supreme Perfects, he wasn't without means of counterbalance. Mu Chen's calmness took Gu Shihuang and the others by surprise. They were seasoned old monsters, cautious and sharp, and they could tell that Mu Chen wasn't bluffing. He genuinely had some hidden cards. But they couldn't fathom what kind of terrifying trump card an Upper Earth Supreme could possess to remain unafraid in the face of 3 Earth Supreme Perfects. Such a stubborn kid. If that's the case, then I'll make sure you despair completely. Gu Shihuang's gaze flickered, and then he let out a cold laugh. With a wave of his sleeve, countless streams of spiritual light shot into the sky. These lights interweaved, and in the blink of an eye, they formed a massive spirit array. The array enveloped the island, and a terrifying aura slowly emanated from within. This is the Cosmic Starfall Array. You can actually activate this great array. Long Xiang's expression changed as he stared at the massive spirit array enveloping the sky above Emerald Spirit Island. Mu Chen frowned as he observed the great array, and he let out a soft exclamation. He recognized a familiar fluctuation coming from it. Originally, I couldn't activate it, but this time, Brother Evil Fish brought a myriad formation token from the clan, which allowed me to break through the central control of the array and take control again. Xun'er Huang looked at Mu Chen, his face curling into a mocking smile. This spirit array was left by your mother, Qin Yanjing. She probably never imagined that many years later, the very array she set up would be used to deal with her own child. How ironic. Mu Chen's eyes narrowed. No wonder the formation felt so familiar. It turned out to be the very one his mother had once arranged. Xun'er Huang, have you no shame at all? Long Xiang shouted angrily. 3 perfect Earth Supremes, and you're actually resorting to using the Island Protection Array. Victory belongs to the winner. Who cares about the process? Xun'er Huang sneered. A cold light flickered in Mu Chen's eyes, killing intent surging. Xun'er Huang was using his mother's formation against him. That truly made him furious. Enough. I'm done wasting words. I'll capture you first, then we'll talk. With a wave of his sleeve, Xun'er Huang activated the colossal spirit array, capable of challenging perfect Earth Supremes. In an instant, dozens of streaking beams of starlight roared down like meteors, aiming straight at where Mu Chen stood. Out of caution, Xun'er Huang and the others chose not to strike directly, relying instead on the power of the spirit array. This way, they hoped to force out Mu Chen's trump cards and be better prepared. Watch out, Long Xiang shouted urgently. But Mu Chen extended a hand to stop him, his eyes locked on the descending starlight. Strangely, he made no move to dodge or defend. Fool, do you think this spirit array can recognize people? Xun'er Huang scoffed when he saw this. Yet Mu Chen remained silent. He stared at the incoming beams, a strange glint in his eyes. Not fear or resistance, but something deeper. Whoosh, whoosh. The starlight rained down. But just as it was about to strike Mu Chen, the beams suddenly curved in a bizarre arc. In the blink of an eye, they reversed course, sweeping back toward Xun'er Huang and the others. Before they could react, the starlight pierced downward, forming a shimmering prison of celestial energy that trapped Green Serpent Ancestor within it. The sudden reversal shocked everyone, except Mu Chen. Xun'er Huang and Liang Evil Fish's eyes widened in disbelief. Xun'er Huang, what are you doing? Green Serpent Ancestor roared in panic and fury. It wasn't me. Xun'er Huang's face turned ashen. He clenched his hand, summoning a cyan token. Pouring his energy into it, he tried to regain control of the formation and release Green Serpent Ancestor. But at that moment, he felt resistance, an opposing force welling up from deep within Emerald Spirit Island. It seized control of the Island Protection Array, wresting it from his grasp. Damn it! The control of the Island Protection Array has been taken. Xun'er Huang's expression darkened, and his furious gaze bore into the depths of the island. He gritted his teeth and growled. It's that wretched Lingxi. Yet even as rage surged, a deep unease crept into him. How had Lingxi managed to seize control of the Cosmic Starfall Array? Regardless of the answer, he could feel it. Things were beginning to slip out of his control. Deep beneath the earth, in a dim underground prison, a woman sat quietly. Clad in a white dress, ethereal and beautiful, she lifted her head slightly, as if her gaze could pierce through layers of rock to see the figure standing atop Emerald Spirit Island. Mu Chen. A soft smile played across Lingxi's delicate face. When she took control of the Island Protection Array, her perception spread across the entire island. She saw him, the mature, composed man Mu Chen had become. No longer the inexperienced boy of the past. Clearly, over the years, Mu Chen had truly grown. Mu Chen, I'll trap one of the perfect Earth Supremes for you. But the other two, you'll have to deal with them yourselves, she murmured. With the array left behind by Qin Yanjing, even someone as powerful as Green Serpent Ancestor couldn't escape her binding. But that was her limit. As for Xun'er Huang and Liang Evil Fish, that was up to Mu Chen and his allies. Let me see for myself just how far you've come over these years, little one. Lingxi's eyes gazed upward through the darkness, and her gentle voice echoed softly in the stillness of the prison. On Emerald Spirit Island, when the cosmic starfall array suddenly changed its attack target and trapped the green serpent ancestor, Long Xiang was also left utterly stunned, clearly not expecting such a turn of events. This spirit array must have been controlled by Sister Lingxi, Mu Chen said with a slight smile, not surprised at all. He had sensed Lingxi's presence when the spirit array first appeared. That fluctuation was undetectable to outsiders, but only a fellow spiritual array master like Mu Chen could perceive it. Therefore, when Xun'er Wang activated the spirit array to capture him, Mu Chen didn't resist at all, knowing that all those attacks would ultimately be redirected. Lingxi. Long Xiang was equally shocked. How could she do this? Mu Chen gazed thoughtfully at Emerald Spirit Island and said, "Didn't you say that this island was once the place where my mother secluded herself for cultivation? There might be something left behind here. And since Lingxi has been imprisoned here for years, it's likely she's been secretly cultivating." Hearing this, Long Xiang was taken aback. He immediately exclaimed, "That's it. I always wondered why Lingxi seemed to have come here of her own accord and allowed Xun'er Wang to imprison her. So it turns out she had another motive." Mu Chen smiled and glanced at the green serpent ancestor, who was trapped in the starlight and looking pale with anger. "Since Sister Lingxi helped us deal with one, we'll have to handle the other two ourselves." Long Xiang sighed in defeat. Even though the green serpent ancestor was trapped, Xun'er Wang and Liang Evil Fish were still two formidable Earth Supremes at the pinnacle of perfection. How could the three of them hope to win? "Brother Long Xiang, you and Luo Li should be able to face one of them head-on." Long Xiang paused, then glanced at Luo Li. He now understood her well enough to know she had cultivated the Luotian divine body, which gave her extraordinary combat prowess. Though she was a lower Earth Supreme, Long Xiang knew that even he would have to expend considerable effort to gain the upper hand in a fight against her. If they teamed up, defeating one of the Earth Supremes at the peak of their power wouldn't be impossible. But if that were the case, wouldn't Mu Chen have to face one of the Earth Supremes alone? "Brother Long Xiang, don't worry about him," Luo Li said with a gentle smile. Since he made this arrangement, he must have the confidence to do so. Long Xiang nodded reluctantly, a bitter smile on his face. "If things go wrong, we'll retreat first. Xun'er Wang wouldn't dare do anything to Lingxi." Mu Chen smiled but didn't respond. As they spoke, Xun'er Wang and Liang Evil Fish cast dark, ominous glances in their direction. They had clearly figured out the change in the spirit array by now. "Green Serpent, don't panic. Focus all your strength on attacking the starlight so that vile woman can't control the array to do anything else. Once we capture those three, we'll release you immediately." Xun'er Wang said to the green serpent ancestor, his face grim. The green serpent ancestor grunted in response, but her expression softened. Although the turn of events was unexpected, it was no big deal. With Xun'er Wang and Liang Evil Fish's strength, dealing with those three little pests would be nothing more than a blink of the eye. After calming the green serpent ancestor, Xun'er Wang's cold gaze shifted to Mu Chen, and the chill in his eyes caused the temperature in the entire area to drop. "Do you think that vile woman's sudden intervention can save you? Today, you're in my hands. Even if you sprout wings, you won't escape." Boom. The moment Xun'er Wang's words fell, a terrifying surge of spiritual energy powerful enough to shake the heavens and earth erupted like a storm. A crushing spiritual pressure enveloped the surroundings. Liang Evil Fish also sneered coldly. Taking a step forward, he released a surge of spiritual energy no less formidable than Xun'er Wang's, sending it soaring into the sky. The surrounding thousands of miles of land and sea darkened under the oppressive weight of their power. The surrounding oceans churned violently, and countless spirit beasts fled, too terrified to remain in the range of Emerald Spirit Island. As the two Earth Supremes at the peak of perfection unleashed their terrifying pressure, Long Xiang and Luo Li's faces also grew grim. Mu Chen's gaze remained sharp as ever. Beneath his skin, the spirit of the true dragon and phoenix slowly surfaced. Though it currently held only the strength of a lower Earth Supreme, it carried the noble bloodlines of the dragon and phoenix clans, innately dignified and commanding. As a result, the oppressive spiritual pressure unleashed by the two perfect Earth Supremes had little to no effect on him. His eyes locked onto Xun'er Wang, suddenly igniting with a blazing intensity. A perfect Earth Supreme. Before his breakthrough, such a figure would have left him with no choice but to retreat. But now, With his ascension into the Upper Earth Supreme Realm, the once insurmountable gap between them had begun to shrink. That realm, which had once seemed untouchable, no longer felt beyond his reach. Boom! A fiery fighting spirit flared in Mu Chen's eyes. The next moment, his figure burst forth like a bolt of lightning, hurtling straight toward Xun'er Huang. His sudden assault caught Xun'er Huang by surprise, his brow twitching slightly. Then, a cold smile tugged at his lips. "Reckless brat," he sneered. "Since you're so eager to die, allow me to grant your wish." Ordinary Upper Earth Supremes trembled like mice before him. Yet here was Mu Chen, not only unafraid, but taking the initiative to strike. It was a direct challenge to the authority of a perfect Earth Supreme. Boom! Mu Chen's form streaked forward like a flash of lightning. In just a few heartbeats, he appeared ghost-like before Xun'er Huang. Taking a deep breath, thunder seemed to rumble within his body. Bang! His face calm, he launched a punch. As his fist flew, the spirit of the true dragon and phoenix surged up his arm, unleashing a chorus of dragon roars and phoenix cries. Golden light, thick as liquid mercury, coated his arm like a gauntlet forged from divine beasts. But to contend with a perfect Earth Supreme, even the power of the spirit alone wasn't enough. That was why, just as the spirit's power surged to its peak, a crystalline pagoda appeared deep within Mu Chen's eyes, the sacred floating pagoda. The spiritual energy in his body instantly poured into it, transforming into a vast wave of crystal energy that howled out. When he was still a lower Earth Supreme, this transformation through the sacred floating pagoda had allowed him to stand toe-to-toe with an Upper Earth Supreme. Now that he had reached that level himself, the enhancement was nothing short of astounding. Boom! As the refined energy erupted from his core, Mu Chen's black pupils turned into dazzling crystals. The fist he threw shimmered with crystal light, transforming into a crystalline fist, as if forged from pure spiritual crystal. The moment it swept forward, space shattered around it. Countless shards of the void dissolved silently upon contact with the force of the punch. Sensing the terrifying power erupting from Mu Chen's body, even Xun'er Huang's pupils contracted slightly. The sheer magnitude of the spiritual energy made even him feel a flicker of unease. So he really did master the sacred floating pagoda. A glint of killing intent flickered in Xun'er Huang's eyes. As a member of the Futu ancient clan, he knew well the sacred floating pagoda's ability to amplify spiritual power. But to enhance Upper Earth's supreme-level energy to such an extent, only the legendary sacred floating pagoda could manage that. Humph. Even with the sacred floating pagoda, you're just an Upper Earth Supreme. Do you truly believe you can escape the palm of my hand? With a chilling snort, Xun'er Huang's expression turned vicious. Forming a hand seal with one hand, he slammed his palm forward. Boom! That strike unleashed a blinding brilliance. Xun'er Huang's palm carried the radiance of a blazing sun, descending with overwhelming might as it collided fiercely with Mu Chen's crystal fist. With this one palm, I'll show you the true invincibility of a perfect Earth Supreme. No matter how you struggle, you're nothing more than an insect trying to stop a chariot. As Xun'er Huang's sinister voice echoed, the palm of light surged forth, imbued with devastating force, and crashed heavily against Mu Chen's crystalline fist. At the moment of impact, a cruel smile curved on Xun'er Huang's lips. He was certain, within a heartbeat, Mu Chen would be either dead or gravely wounded.